Hi, I'm Emily Antoszyk, and I'm a data analyst and a data visualization specialist.
Hello, my name is Terrance Ruth, and I'm a professor at NC State University. I've held several roles in the field of education, and I entered the profession as a middle school history and science teacher.
And today, Terrance and I want to talk to you about an article that we co-wrote for Ed News Source Education NC about teacher and student demographics in North Carolina. So a few years ago, I explored this topic on EdNC in an article that was mostly focused on gender and a little bit on race. And at that time, our main takeaway was that the majority of North Carolina teachers are female. In this updated installment, we're focused solely on race by examining the makeup of student and teacher populations in all 115 school districts from the 2004-05 school year to the 2018-19 school year. So the way we did this was to look at the proportion of Black and white students and the proportion of Black and white teachers and the corresponding populations, the difference between the two. So if you want to look more at the methodology and dig in deeper, you can find more about how we constructed these maps in the How to Read the Maps tab at the top of the dashboard. And I'm just going to take you through briefly how to use the maps so that you can navigate through, and then I will take you through some of the findings from our mapping process. So at the top of the dashboard, you'll see these panels. These will help you navigate to the 5 different pages with all of the data visualizations on them. And whenever you hover over any of the visualizations, the maps or the charts, you'll get pop-outs with more information. In both of the maps, we have a slider on the right-hand side where you can slide through all of the years available. And we have a radio dial so that you can choose whether you want to look at elementary or secondary school data. And then finally, we have this drop down where you can select a school district and look at the trends over time in the chart at the bottom of the map. So there are 4 major findings that we want to share with you today. The first is from our Black student and teacher populations maps. And this is just a screenshot from the 2019 school year for elementary students. But what we found in nearly every school district, nearly every year from 2005 to 2019, for both elementary and secondary populations, the Black student population percentage is greater than the Black teacher population percentage. And this is shown in the map in the blue districts. Orange districts are where the reverse is true. The Black student population percentage is less than the Black teacher population percentage. And the white districts are where the population percentages are relatively equal. Alternatively, in nearly every school district for nearly every year that we examined for elementary and secondary students, the white student population percentage is less than the white teacher population percentage. And orange districts show where this is the case, again with a screen cap of the 2019 school year. So this is these are both the screen caps from 2019 for the Black student and teacher population percentages and the white student and teacher population percentages. So you can see how they differ. And of course, one of the caveats here is that we're not looking at a school by school basis. So we can't really say what this looks like in reality within the districts, but at a high level, this may indicate that Black students are underrepresented by Black teachers in their districts, and white students are overrepresented by white teachers in their districts. And then the final thing that we want to share from these maps is that there can be drastic changes over a relatively short period of time. So you'll see in these 3 maps, this is 2005 through 2007 from the Black student and teacher populations maps, that some of the districts have flipped from blue to orange, blue to white to orange. And so this indicates that because, you know, there's teacher turnover and there are new entrants to the profession and, you know, teachers are constantly moving schools and districts, that a focus on recruitment could change the makeup of the teaching population in a district in a relatively short period of time. So the last finding we want to share is that we know that the teaching population can change pretty quickly. So there are new entrants to the profession every single year. There's turnover, and then teachers are moving from school to school and district to district. And so in some cases, like in these maps of the Black student and teacher populations, you'll notice the districts going from blue to orange or blue to white to orange in just a span of a couple years. And to us, this may indicate that a focus on recruitment could change the makeup of the teaching population in a district or in a school in a relatively short amount of time. So I've already detailed some of the caveats with this data, for instance, that we didn't look at this on a school by school basis or the distribution within a district. So the reality in your district may look very different than what's indicated in these maps. And that's certainly a point for discussion. Another thing that we want to highlight, though there are more caveats that you can look through on this page of the dashboard, is that we make no assumptions about what the correct population percentages are for teachers in any school or district. So that's really up to the schools and districts to decide how they want to focus on representation, what representation means for their teachers and their students, and so on. And so now I'm going to pass it on over to Terrance to talk a little bit about his experience as an educator and talk through some of the questions you might consider when looking at these.
Thanks, Emily. My experience has taught me that representation among school leaders and teachers is important for students and the students that they teach, and has shown me that in many schools, Black teachers are underrepresented in our schools when compared to Black student populations. Now, I have heard several assumptions of this deficit. One from a historical revisit of school segregation policies that separated resources to schools based on race. I have also heard first account stories of students that experienced the first wave of school integration and witnessed the demotion of Black teachers, and administrators and other teachers experienced job loss during this time. In more contemporary assumptions, I have heard individuals speak about their unsuccessful sort of entry into the school system, either through recruitment or in hiring. And so school districts and leaders can collect stories from Black and brown teachers and use the lessons learned in the successful recruitment stories to target and center Black teacher recruits and existing Black talent. Black teachers are underrepresented in our schools when compared to Black student populations. And so for me, I had to explore, what does that mean for my own story? And so here, I want to really center on what does it mean to recruit and what recruitment strategies look like. And so centering Black and brown teachers should be a part of a larger strategy to encourage Black students to pursue teaching or encourage Black educators to persist. If we are to change the jarring ratios of Black teachers to Black students and promote representation, then we need to, number one, put teachers on a pedestal. The top companies in the country invest in ways to communicate value to their employees. We need to demonstrate that we truly value the teacher position. Two, support Black teachers and students. Learn, and as an organization primarily, the challenges and aspirations of Black and brown teachers, and invest in ways to decrease challenges. Three, aggressively recruit Black talent. We see this in other areas like sports. And then finally, engage communities of color early and often. I'm a Black teacher, I'm a Black principal, and I love education. It would be powerful to show that education as an institution loves Black teachers and students so much that the current pipeline imbalances, talent pipeline imbalances, become a thing of the past. So here are some questions to consider. Number one, what do the demographic trends look like in your district? Does the information in the maps align with your expectations based on your experience? Number two, is it important for students to have teachers that look like them? Why and why not? Number three, do you think these data should influence recruitment efforts in your district or school? Why and why not? And finally, what additional data or information would you want to gather if you were interested in learning more about racial representation in teacher recruitment in your district? Thank you.